True crime is more than stories of violence and investigation. It is about lives cut short, mysteries that linger, and the way evil can emerge in the most ordinary of places. The fascination with true crime does not come from morbid curiosity alone. It comes from the search for understanding. Why do people commit such acts? How can ordinary lives be shattered so quickly? And what do these stories reveal about society itself? In this documentary, we will explore 5 cases that continue to haunt the world. Each one is a chilling reminder of human cruelty and the desperate need for justice. These are the top 5 true crime stories, part 1 of a continuing series. The first story takes us to the chilling case of the Long Island serial killer, sometimes called Les K. For years, women disappeared from the New York area, their cases dismissed or ignored because many of them worked as sex workers. In 2010, while searching for one missing woman, Shannon Gilbert, police stumbled upon the remains of 4 others wrapped in burlap along Gilgo Beach. They were Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, Amber Lynn Costello, and Maureen Brainard Barnes. Soon more bodies were discovered, eventually totaling 10. For years the killer remained unknown, taunting families and frustrating investigators. The case highlighted systemic failures in how sex workers were treated by law enforcement. Then, in 2023, police arrested Rex Heuermann, an architect living quietly in a suburban neighborhood. He was charged with the murders of 3 of the Gilgo 4. The arrest brought some relief, but many questions remain unanswered. Were all the bodies along the beach his work? Or did other killers use the same dumping ground? The case continues, but the fear it created will never fade. The second story is about the disappearance and murder of Elisa Lam, a case that became one of the most widely discussed mysteries on the internet. Elisa was a 21-year-old student from Canada who traveled alone to Los Angeles in 2013. She checked into the infamous Cecil Hotel, a place already known for its dark history of crime and suicides. When Elisa went missing, police searched the hotel but found nothing. Then, surveillance footage was released showing Elisa in an elevator acting strangely. She pressed multiple buttons, stepped in and out, gestured at something unseen, and appeared terrified. The footage went viral, fueling theories about paranormal forces, hidden pursuers, or even government experiments. Weeks later, Elisa's body was found inside the hotel water tank, discovered after guests complained about low water pressure and strange tastes in the water. The coroner ruled her death accidental, linked to her bipolar disorder, but many questions remain. How did she access the locked rooftop? How did she climb into the heavy water tank? Why did hotel staff not notice her sooner? Elisa's story became a modern urban legend, proof of how mystery can spread in the digital age. The third story is the haunting case of the Watts family murders. In 2018, Christopher Watts appeared on local television pleading for the return of his missing wife Shannon and their 2 daughters, Bella and Celeste. He spoke with calmness that seemed unnatural, his arms crossed, his eyes flat. Within days, his mask crumbled. Police discovered that he had murdered Shannon, who was pregnant with their 3rd child, and smothered their daughters. His motive was simple and selfish. He wanted a new life with his mistress, free from responsibility. The brutality of his actions shocked the world, not only because of the crime itself, but because of the deceit. He had buried his wife in a shallow grave and stuffed his daughters into oil tanks at his worksite. Investigators caught him with a combination of interrogation tactics, polygraph tests, and eventually his own confession. The case revealed the darkest side of domestic betrayal, how someone who seemed like a normal family man could commit unimaginable crimes against those who trusted him most. The fourth story takes us to the mysterious disappearance of Madeleine McCann. In 2007, 3-year-old Madeleine vanished from her family's holiday apartment in Portugal while her parents dined nearby with friends. The case quickly became international news, with images of Madeleine's face broadcast across the world. Investigators struggled to find leads, and suspicion fell on almost everyone, including her parents. Over the years, countless theories emerged, from child trafficking rings to accidental cover-ups. The case became one of the most expensive and high-profile missing child investigations in history. In recent years, attention has focused on a convicted German sex offender named Christian Bruckner, who was living in Portugal at the time of Madeleine's disappearance. German prosecutors have suggested he is the prime suspect, but no charges have yet been filed. Madeleine's case remains unsolved, and the world continues to wait for answers. Her story is a haunting reminder of how a single moment can change everything, and how the search for truth can last decades. The fifth and final story in this part of our series is the terrifying case of the Golden State Killer. For years, California was plagued by a series of rapes, burglaries, and murders that seemed unrelated. Victims across different counties suffered home invasions by a masked man who tied them up, attacked them, and sometimes murdered them. He was known by many names, including the East Area Rapist and the original Night Stalker. But eventually investigators realized they were dealing with one man, a predator whose crimes spanned decades. He taunted police with phone calls, instilled fear in communities, and then disappeared. For years his identity was unknown. Then, in 2018, a breakthrough in genetic genealogy led to the arrest of Joseph James DeAngelo, a former police officer living quietly in the suburbs. DNA evidence tied him to dozens of crimes. He eventually confessed, and in 2020 he was sentenced to life in prison without parole. The Golden State Killer case demonstrated the power of modern forensic science, and it brought long-awaited justice to survivors and families who had lived with fear for decades. The 1 Extra 6 story is the disturbing case of the Cleveland kidnappings, a tragedy that revealed the unimaginable horrors that can be hidden in plain sight. Between 2002 and 2004, 3 young women, Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina DeJesus, vanished separately in Cleveland, Ohio. For over a decade, their families searched desperately, clinging to hope while the community feared the worst. Unknown to everyone, the 3 women were imprisoned inside the home of Ariel Castro, a local bus driver. He had abducted them, chained them, and subjected them to years of abuse. The world believed they were gone forever, until May 2013, when Amanda Berry managed to escape and call for help. Police arrived and rescued all 3 women, ending a nightmare that had lasted 11 years. The discovery shocked the nation, not only because of the brutality of Castro's crimes, but because of how long the women had been hidden in a house only a few miles from their homes. Castro was arrested and sentenced to life in prison plus 1,000 years, but he committed suicide in his cell only weeks later. The Cleveland kidnappings revealed the resilience of survivors, the cruelty of one man, and the chilling reality that unspeakable crimes can exist behind closed doors in the middle of ordinary neighborhoods. Together, these stories reveal the many faces of true crime. The Long Island serial killer case shows how predators exploit society's blind spots. The Elisa Lam case demonstrates how mystery can grow when explanations fail to satisfy. The Watts family murders reveal how evil can live behind the facade of normal life. The disappearance of Madeleine McCann shows how a single event can become an international obsession. And the Golden State Killer case proves that even decades-old crimes can be solved with persistence and science. But beyond the fascination and horror, these stories also force us to look inward. They make us question the systems meant to protect us, the people we trust, and the vulnerabilities in our lives. They remind us that justice is not always swift, and sometimes it is never complete. They remind us that victims must be remembered as more than names in case files. And they remind us that evil often hides in plain sight, waiting for the moment when no one is watching. The world of true crime is filled with stories like these, but each one carries its own lessons. Each one is a reminder of the fragility of life, the cruelty of those who seek to harm, and the resilience of families and communities who refuse to let their loved ones be forgotten. These stories are heavy, disturbing, and painful, but they are also important. They show us not only the darkness that exists, but also the need for light. They reveal the worst in humanity, but also the courage of survivors, investigators, and advocates who fight for justice. This is only part 1 of our series. The cases we have explored here are only the beginning. There are countless more stories, each with its own horrors and mysteries, each deserving of attention. In future episodes, we will explore more of them, always with the goal of remembering the victims, understanding the crimes, and demanding accountability. Because true crime is not just about killers. It is about the lives they destroyed, and the voices that must never be silenced.